Hey guys, testing audio. Y'all test yours. Alright, I think we're good to go. Alright, we'll be right back right after this intro.
You are so awesome.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's first look. First look of the Driveway Liberty podcast.
Will be my first look of the week.
Right, yeah. Dude, I am beat. So I'm your Uncle Wes. I'm sitting here with my good buddies. The one to my left is Dan Matichero, Dolphin fan extraordinaire, who's
First
pretty
place,
excited.
baby. First place. Bills lost. Dolphins won.
Across the table from me on the opposite side of not necessarily things political, but of the table, is Travis Horn.
Hello. Hello. It is chilly.
Dude, man, I left Port St. Joe. It was 75 degrees. By the time I got to Panama City Beach last night, it was 48 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, holy cow, man. Not only did I leave a different time zone, but I left a different zone entirely.
Yeah, me and Dan were sitting outside watching the Alabama game by my fire pit. And it was comfortable. It wasn't cold.
Yeah, it wasn't
Right.
bad.
And in the ride to the sports bar, wind picked up, started raining a little bit, and literally we got out of the truck. It's like, what happened?
Chilly.
Right?
The entire climate changed in the
It's like,
hour and a half we were in this
bam.
having dinner.
Well, that's what they always say about Florida, right? You know, if you don't like the weather, just stick around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wait
Wait
5
a minute.
minutes.
This morning I was going to have my coffee on the back patio. It was 40 freaking degrees out.
Yeah.
Dude, I slept later. I didn't get home till about 2:30 this morning and got in the bed. And I slept till 11. I was exhausted, dude. We played, and it's not so bad playing in the Eastern time zone when you live in the Central time zone, but we were done by 9 o'clock our time. After breakdown, we were out of there 30, 40 minutes, and I made the mistake of stopping off at Newbies in Panama City Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing some buddies of ours playing a band over there, or mine. Y'all don't know these guys.
It's like a trap once you go in. And
Yeah, dude, you're in there, and those guys were rocking out, man. They are in the last couple of shows before their lead singer and guitar player move, and man, they were wearing it out. It was loud as shit. The decibel meter was like at 120.
shit,
They had it crunk.
they were rocking.
But hey, we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about us.
Yeah, and it's kind of depressing to talk about.
Well, but before we get in that, let's go ahead and let our patrons know, and others who will be watching this on Tuesday, that starting this week, Wednesday, whatever date that is, what's that, the 15th?
16th.
16th, we will begin doing our live stream at 6 p.m. instead of 7:30. So we just figured you'd get a little bit better action out of us if we did it earlier instead of after we did an audio cast where we were drinking.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
probably a wise decision.
the flow's off.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, video really, I've been listening to our audio cast versus the video cast, and they're different. They really are. We'd love to hear what you think about it. You know, you can comment on this video, or you can send us a message and let us know. We would appreciate your thoughts. Maybe we should keep it audio. I don't know. I like the idea of video. It gives us more mediums to share and do whatever.
And we're three good-looking guys. So
Right?
you would think the video would work.
Yeah, I'm surprised why
Well,
we're
maybe
not
Dan needs
viral
to go
yet.
back to the
Yeah.
the robot.
Am I looking at
Right,
the camera?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Hi, Travis.
Yeah.
I gotta keep my
I don't
hands
know
in
what
the
to
screen.
do with
though.
my hands.
Hi, Travis.
Doing the
You're over
Ricky
there.
Bobby.
No, you're there.
There it is. But hey, so man, these election results got me wondering some what ifs, man, and what ares and what's going on.
Well, we're fully 5 days after the election,
Mm-hmm.
and we just found out, I guess, last night, according to races that were called that the leftists kept the Senate.
Well, at least 50-50, right?
Yeah, which is what
Which
it was.
with the vice presidency, they've
Yeah.
got the majority. So
Yeah, so once you hit 50, you have control. Now they'll have it for 2 years. If we win the election in 2024, we'll have it back. That's if Herschel wins in the runoff.
yeah, well, I mean, the last time Herschel didn't. I mean, the in the runoff they had 2
Two.
years ago,
They had two
yeah,
candidates in the North one.
they didn't
That's
go.
what got them to 50.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here thinking the other day, right after the election results were coming, I'm like, well, maybe the fix isn't in on this stuff. But I'm to a point where I have to start questioning and thinking, a lot of this stuff's sketchy, man. Like the Nevada, like we were talking about off camera with the Nevada governor race. I mean, they voted him in. What'd he win by? How many points?
It was 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, but yet,
But Nevada, so here's where I think it's the difference between how the Democrats view things versus how we view things is if there was shenanigans, it's not showing up on the gubernatorial side very much.
right.
It's really showing up House and Senate on the federal. So if you look at, like, if we were going to look at a presidential electoral college map based off governors currently, I mean, you would look at, Republicans right now, just based off the governors, would be over 300.
Right.
But yet the Senate and the House are going to
Pretty
be
close to the opposite.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that's where I start to have a lot of questions of what's going on. So like Nevada, you bring up, well, Nevada just passed universal mail-in ballots. They mail everybody a ballot.
Yeah.
The early voting stuff, and I think Republicans have to think about changing the strategy when it comes to early voting, because if you can get somebody to go vote, get them to go vote that day, whenever you, yeah,
Just
you
get
have
them
to
to vote.
get that damn vote.
Well,
Right.
I think allowing the mail-in ballots also, I mean, it just leaves it wide open for fraud. I mean, it absolutely does. I mean, somebody, I can't remember what state it was, maybe even been in Florida, got arrested for filling out her son's ballot and mailing it in, forging his name, and he was overseas or something, filled out his ballot and sent it in. I mean, even if it's just small scale stuff like that, I mean, that stuff can add up and make a big difference.
When you're mailing out ballots to every single physical address,
Yeah.
which it doesn't seem like you're mailing them to the registered voters. I think they're mailing them to every physical address in some states.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So you've got a very significant amount of ballots out there with people who aren't going to vote that can easily be gathered and filled out.
Yeah, and so, now you've got a Republican governor, especially in Arizona and Nevada, if they've got any support. I mean, if you look at Nevada's got 9 House
Seats.
seats. I think that's right. And only 2 of those are blue. It's basically Las Vegas and Reno.
Right.
And Las Vegas, Clark County is where you're seeing a lot of the slow rolling of the ballots. So, go back to our conversation about DeSantis. One of the first things he did was fire election officials.
Yeah.
Like Carrie Lake, she said the first thing she'll do is declare an invasion, send National Guard to the border. Well, 1A needs to be
Take
everybody
care-
in Maricopa.
Clean that freaking election up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Clean house.
So to me, you look at Virginia has a Republican governor now.
Yeah.
You look at Wisconsin has a Republican governor. Just some of these states that have flipped. Kentucky has a Democrat governor, but Kentucky's probably going to flip. North Carolina, we're so focused on the House and the Senate, but there's so many other good things. The North Carolina Supreme Court went from 2 conservatives and 3 liberals to 4 conservatives and 1 liberal. The North Carolina Republicans basically have the House and the Senate
In the state.
with a supermajority, so they can override any veto from the Democratic governor.
Nice.
So you look at that, Like there's so much good stuff going on at the state and local level. I think I saw something like 475 school boards flipped to conservative.
Yeah, I
across the
mean,
country.
Miami. I mean, we kind of touched on it the other day, but Miami-Dade,
Yeah,
their school board flipped conservative.
yeah. And so I know that. And look, I just looked it up. Joe Manchin is up for re-election in 2024 in West by God, Virginia.
Yeah,
You think he's going balls deep on the Green New Deal the next 2 years?
probably not.
I mean, he's already running a thin line with the D next to his name
Right.
Yeah.
in West Virginia.
Well, these coal mining unions usually, historically, have supported Democrats. I mean, West Virginia's kind of been a blue state in that matter, but they're starting to wake up. The unions are starting to wake up and realize these Democrats, they're just catering to them for the votes. They don't give a fuck about
Well,
it.
Joe Biden said he was going to close all the coal mines down, so
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the coalition is starting to come together, and it's starting at the grassroots and local level, which seems to be easier to win elections than even getting into the federal House,
Well,
Senate.
long-term strategy, that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing, because if you have conservatives in power local and state level, they can, and the states control how you elect officials. So, within the parameters of the Constitution and gerrymandering and all of that.
Oh,
So
the big
if
deal
they-
about North Carolina, sorry.
No, that's
is
all right.
North Carolina has not redone their districts yet. They don't redo them until after the election.
So-
So now Republicans will have control to redistrict all of North Carolina and have a conservative Supreme Court to go with it.
Nice.
New York, I know, I mean, Zelda was within 5 points.
Yeah.
The country on earth, or, yeah, I mean, and we can't count votes.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. Somebody posted, I mean, I say this morning, I slept in to almost lunch, so I was up late. But I saw it when I got up, when I was drinking my coffee, and it was, Florida can fix a highway after a hurricane from mainland to an
Fix a bridge
island.
in
Right.
freaking 5 days.
Yeah, in
Faster
5
than
days.
Arizona can count votes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the city of LA still doesn't know who their governor is. Like one of the wealthiest cities on earth, not governor, mayor. Sorry,
Yeah.
doesn't know who their mayor is. Like it's stuff like that, and like I said in our cast, the problem is when good people feel like they no longer have a way to get their point across, which is what the Trump getting elected to president was.
Yeah.
Just good people sick of it that said, hey, you guys need to start listening.
Right.
And with what's going on with the mail-in ballots and all this stuff since 2020, as more and more people lose faith in that, well, there's really only one way to share grievances with your government, and it's not fun.
That ain't good.
No, it's violent. It's ugly.
That ain't good.
Absolutely it is.
If you look at the quote popular vote, the amount of votes that were cast by party, Republicans were significantly higher across the nation.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you just look at the map, and the blue dots are, I mean, they're obviously the metro areas. That's where the populations are. A lot of the populations are. But you look at the maps, man, and it's,
Well, even
It's
if you
a
look at the
red
maps,
And
country.
you look at break it down county by county, it's
well, even if you look at the
Super
maps, the
red.
suburbs are going back red.
yeah.
Where Trump had, where the Republicans had migration away in 18 and 20, the suburbs came back this time.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, have you noticed how the media is already trying to pit DeSantis and Trump against one another? Even, I mean, yeah, and that's probably coming, but they're actually trying to add fuel to that fire a little bit, and so they're playing the long game, like we always say. They're ahead of the curve on this. I had a point I was going to make earlier, and y'all forgive me. I'm kind of scattered from the lack of sleep, being a rock star in dive bars. But my point being is the Democrats, since Jefferson, have concentrated on creating more power in the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, if there is legit sketchy shit going on with these elections, you see it on the state and Senate on the federal level. We were asking the questions, why are all these Republican governors getting voted in, like Kemp voted in by a pretty significant margin in Georgia, and yet it's 49-49 in the Senate race. And we had talked about last week on, I can't remember if it was audiocast or live stream,
The split tickets.
about people do vote split ticket, but I've done a little research since I said that, and it's only about 20% of the time when people do that. Now, could that be a factor in these races? I don't know, man. I just find it very difficult to believe that folks are going to vote Kemp in and not vote in Herschel Walker, a demigod, in the state of Georgia. I mean, I find that difficult to believe. Now, that's anecdotal? I have no proof of that, but the appearances look weird.
Yeah, but if you look at the Gen Z turnout and the under 30, I mean, I get it. If you're a hardcore Georgia fan, you know who Herschel Walker is under 30, but your average Georgian.
He lost to College Town because it was.
Well, Clark
Kids
County's
there.
a fucking lost cause anyway, man.
The
It's
kids
just
going to Georgia.
Well,
it's a bunch of
what
fucking.
what
who aren't
it
football
tells you
fans.
is to one side it's religion, okay,
Yeah.
and the other side tries to make good decisions.
Yeah.
That's how it currently appears. As long as you look, John Fetterman, we now have of the top 103 most powerful people in the federal government of the United States.
The
one at the
thing is
top
ridiculous.
is clearly dealing with some kind of dementia,
Right.
and then we didn't.
Well, they don't care. They just look at the D.
Yes.
They do not care.
They like the
because
D.
it's a religion.
Right.
And if you got a D that can't speak or understand you, who cares? Because you now have control of the Senate.
Well, and,
that's all that matters.
Well, and it doesn't matter as long as that person's functioning. I mean, you know how they're going to vote.
He don't even have to function.
Like, it was a big deal when Manchin and Sinema broke off, twice from the Democrats, but yet we have Republicans from Texas and West by God, Virginia selling us out on guns.
Yeah.
Like, so that's why it doesn't matter to them. They
Right.
know how he's going to vote. He's going to vote straight in line like he's supposed to.
Yeah. He's
Well,
going.
they're going to tell him how to vote.
Like, there's no Democrat podcast that's upset with a congressman that votes with the Republicans 30 or 40% of the time.
No.
Not a single one.
Not
Because
a single one.
there's not one of them out there.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
And that's the truth. That's the absolute truth. So, what we're going to be talking about this week in the driveway?
So I do want to. I got to get some more information on this.
All right.
But I briefly saw an article where 12 different countries applied to be part of BRICS. So that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Okay? And what they're trying to do, what it's basically, think of NATO and almost like a combat to NATO. So 12 countries around the world and some pretty decent countries with lots of oil.
Lots of oil and pretty strong militaries.
So, none of us. I mean, if you're maybe pre-World War I, you understand a world where the United States wasn't the most powerful by leaps and bounds. But we don't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, since World War II, really after World War I, but definitely after World War II, the United States was the petrodollar reserve. Just literally every metric.
Everything, militarily, economically,
Yeah.
everything across the board.
And so now we're staring down what could be a multipolar world.
Mm-hmm.
You've got NATO and BRICS. Doesn't sound great because there's a lot of nukes in there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of nukes and a lot of buying power.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and the problem is
manufacturing too.
the
Yeah.
problem is in NATO. There you go. The problem is in NATO. They don't make anything. NATO doesn't make shit.
No.
BRICS does.
Yeah, we're buyers.
Right.
NATO is buyers. They're consumers.
So
Yeah, it's a shame, man. And the thing is if we don't become more self-sufficient in this country, we're going to be beholden to those.
But we're the outlook doesn't look good because we've elected again a government that has no interest in making us.
well, and I don't even think it's that. I think you got to think about it a little bit deeper. When you look at Brazil, Russia, India, China, not so much, South Africa, like these are countries that value a family unit.
Yeah.
These are countries that are way above our current replacement rate. So we just went through COVID. We know COVID affected old people. Well, that's fine, and you do lose people, right? The excess death rate was up the last 2 years.
Sure.
which wouldn't be a big deal if we were cranking out babies, but we're not.
No, I'm
And
with
so,
you.
and so our population is constantly dwindling, whereas those populations, because of their focus on the family.
I don't disagree, but there's still the factor of
I agree.
you're giving up when you secede your economy and you're dependent on other countries. That has a huge negative impact on you being independent. China has our nuts in a ringer right now.
Well, and my point is, we couldn't bring it back if we wanted to. How many businesses?
Well, we have a government now that we've elected that has no interest in it.
Right.
Yeah, and see that's
And they're going the other way.
How many businesses do you know that would be hiring right now? 95% of
Yeah,
them.
Sure.
almost all of them.
absolutely
So how many more jobs are we going to create that can't get filled?
a lot.
You know, like
Well, I guess-
that's my point.
No, I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, your point on our population is dwindling because apparently a significant portion of our country thinks they're the opposite gender, and then another significant portion doesn't want to procreate because they're gay. You add that into the fact that we're not making anything, and they've sold the American people on this new energy thing is going to create a whole new economy and all these new beautiful jobs when it feasibility of it is just not realistic.
Right.
It's just not going to
The
happen.
technology is not there.
Well-
I mean, I'd be look if I could. It's like I told the solar guy that I cussed out the other day. I'm like, all right, for one thing, the only way I would entertain solar at this point is if you could tell me if a hurricane hit, I could survive and have electricity for my entire house for 2-3 weeks with solar power.
Yeah, if it gets you off the grid, I do solar tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can for an extra $80,000.
Yeah, see, that's the
So,
thing.
yeah,
and
it's
it-
not, so
yeah,
it's not
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
Well, oh man, I had a point.
But
Oh,
even
sorry.
that,
No, that's
the
okay.
amount of batteries that
Yeah.
you would have to store that.
Well, and where do those batteries come from? Come from China.
Yeah.
Where does the cobalt in those batteries come from? And lithium. Well, they come from Africa, and the State Department recently said, "Hey,
And they've
we know that
destroyed
children,
the economy in Africa.
right?
Or
And
the,
hey, we know that children are mining these.
Yeah.
So our
Plus, they're destroying the environment.
yeah,
Those
Yeah.
freaking lithium fields are
and
lakes are
our good friend Vish Burra had a Twitter thread that he, you know, one of the things, it was the breakdown of unmarried women that broke very, very hard to the Democrats by like 30 points.
Right.
And
Well,
you know,
because that's their meal ticket.
well, and he was saying, you know, we've got to encourage families, but what he was also saying is Republicans have to focus on making it feasible for families to exist. Can you get married and buy a home? Can you get married and raise a child? You know, and okay, well,
Well, you
what-
got to make that desirable too.
correct. Well,
Yeah,
well,
not
what
just
if-
feasible, but desirable.
Well, so okay, so let's say Danny, who's 18, right,
yeah.
or 17, whatever. In
He's
2-3
almost
years, he's found someone, and man, he wants to get married, wants to start having babies, all that good stuff, and he wants his wife to be a stay-at-home mom. Well, they're gonna live in a shack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless he's one of the few.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so that is, you can't promote the family union to that point, because why would we go have a bunch of kids? A, we can't afford it. We can't afford the house big enough to house them.
Right.
Both of us are going to have to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that condition is what we have to focus on changing to be sure our country
But
long-term
there's so
survives.
many factors in that.
Sure.
Inflation, the value of the dollar,
Yes.
freaking the incentive of the government paying you not to do that. I mean, there's so many hurdles and roadblocks to that.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
even
I mean,
funny.
like, let's take a discussion we had where me and Dan were disagreeing with Wes. Had it been on the ballot that, hey, if you are married with children living in the home, you get tax break. Hell yeah, I'm 100% for that. That encourages family
Yeah,
units.
if you want to incentivize moms to stay at home,
Yeah,
married moms with children to
Yes.
stay at home, that would be a much better avenue than the current.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it
But
can't
that's
just
never
be.
going to happen.
It can't just be here. Like, obviously in South Walton, there's plenty of stay-at-home moms because the wealth factor. But
Right.
if you wanted to live, you know, if you were just from, you know, a smaller town where the wealth isn't, but you wanted your wife to do, you know, to focus on raising the kids, and she wanted to as well, I mean, we did it for a long time, and we struggled.
Yeah. Well, but now during the current environment, I mean, it's not even they're incentivized not even get married. I might lose my bennies.
Yeah.
I might lose my benefits. Man, you know, when I actually had a company where I hired employees, I actually had a lady that I interviewed, smart lady, for one of my insurance agencies, and she was like, yeah, can you just pay me cash under the table, and you know, because I don't want to lose my benefits. And I looked at her and I said, no, I can't do that.
Yep.
But thanks for coming in. That was the interview.
You assume all the risk.
Hey,
Yeah.
a very good friend of ours, who I think would be great in some kind of public office, won't do it because of benefits.
Yeah.
Just a reality. So,
Does he run a page or two?
well, maybe.
Okay.
You know, but so, yeah, so I get it. So we've got so many people dependent on the government, whether rightfully or not rightfully, that we can't get them into the private workforce, or we can't get them into any kind of leadership positions.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, so I think we should probably do that one as our evergreen, is kind of look at that whole BRICS thing, and then how do we create it, because based off our birth rates, replacement rates, all that, we're screwed long term.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that the Democrats keep finding ways to control the federal government.
Yeah.
I mean, because, yes,
Growing.
states have powers and our governors can block some things, but the way our Constitution is currently written, the federal government is superior to the state's governments. Matter of fact, my kid just had a test on this last week that I helped her study for. You know, when you look at Jefferson and Jackson, when they were arguing over the size and scope of the government in the early 1800s, it's, you know, they wanted, you know, under the Articles of Confederation, the federal government had no power.
Right.
At all. We were basically 13 individual countries that worked together to fight a war at that point. And then when we had the Second Continental Congress and came out with the Constitution, that made the federal government superior to the states in their power. So we are...
Well, and then Abraham Lincoln reinforced it.
Oh, yeah, he did. He absolutely did.
So,
it's just been a growing juggernaut of things. You know, I'm almost to a point of saying, you know what, let's scrap that 200 some odd year experiment and let's start over with the knowledge we have and make it a better thing.
yeah. I keep posting on Facebook repeatedly. Any Republican serious about making Florida as great as possible will be screaming from the top of their lung to remove term limits for Ron DeSantis. We passed that special bill, and it's just for him. I don't give a damn. If you're serious, it's where you should be.
There it is. Well, hey guys, that's our first look for this week. We sure appreciate you tuning in as a Patreon subscriber. You know what? You're welcome to share this. This is unlisted. But if you're a Patreon subscriber and you want to share this with a friend or two and say, hey, you should consider sponsoring this cast, they need your help, we sure would appreciate it. A couple of things going on this week besides our cast. If you'd like to be in the Florida Free video, shameless plug for Wes, come out to Reds Friday. You can find out how you can RSVP for that. Travis and Dana are going to be big parts of that video. And man, the thing, it looks like we're about to max out the whole fire code, fire marshal.
Do I have to RSVP?
Do what?
Do I have to RSVP?
is it
No, y'all
Friday?
already did it. Do it? Yeah, it's Friday. You got to run the clock.
I don't know. I'll know Monday.
We'll see how close of friends you are here in a minute, I guess.
Well, neither of us made it to Port St. Joe to see
Listen,
you,
Well, I didn't expect either of you to make it to that
I
one.
made a pretty nice chunk of change running the clock to see Freeport get their ass handed to them this
Right.
week.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's fun and everything. Actually, y'all's bigger scenes in the video, we're probably going to have to shoot on a different
We'll have to
location.
shoot here
Yeah, we'll have to shoot it
in
here.
front of the banner.
But we still need about 20 or 30 people.
Do we get Scoot?
Yeah, I got Scoot.
Scoot.
I got Scoot. handled.
Scoot is
Yeah,
back.
got Scoot back. Yeah.
I kept the boot too.
Did you? Nice. Well, I got Scoot. I've also, Josh
Scoot the
Speed
boot.
here in the neighborhood donated a Don't Tread on Florida flag.
Nice.
So that's in. I'm not going to tell you what's in the video, but it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be funny
You need
too.
to get a flag made of that T-shirt, that logo on the T-shirt.
Yeah, I may do that. I don't think I have time to do it before Friday, but we'll get one done. And we're actually the T-shirt. Here's a little hint. I created a T-shirt for the video shoot and the song, but we're also going to do one with branded Driveway Liberty podcast added in, and add that to our merch store for you guys to help support the cast. So that'll be forthcoming. So people who already ordered one may be mad. They might have wanted the Driveway Liberty
I'd be
logo
all right
on
if
it.
you put a link to that song on our website.
Okay. Well,
That's
I
a good
appreciate
song.
that. Appreciate it.
I'm 1/3 of the vote. I think you would vote for that.
Well, I mean, I would actually abstain because I'm kind of close
That's
to it
true.
since I wrote
That's
it and
true.
recorded it.
I don't know. So
I mean, I can be bribed.
do we have a?
you know.
Do we have a? So it would be 50-50. So if Travis said no, I don't know. We got a
We'd
we
have
got
to-
a
we'd have
vice
to-
president.
I'd-
who
I'd-
has to decide.
we'd
I would
probably
I'd have to break the tie.
Well, we'd probably have to send it to Brett. You know, it's like the
Unpaid consultant.
Yeah, the unpaid consultant. Yeah.
All right, Brett, chime in. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, but I don't know. I like the song. I had fun writing it and recording it, but I don't want to be, some of these guys.
I
think-
brought up the idea.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
I
did.
like the song. I have that shit. It's like a jingle.
Oh,
running
we
through
got
my
in the
head.
truck to go to the Gates thing, man. That's the first thing he put on. I'm like, fuck yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm really surprised. I thought, all right, so my wife jokes with me, and she says it sounds like something that Matt Stone and Trey Parker would have put in South Park. And I can't necessarily disagree to some degree, but their music's good. It's
Yeah,
just
but
that
it's
got
not-
a
it's not a
humorous.
parody song.
It's not a parody. It's not at all. But she made that point, and that's kind of the thought I keep having in my head. So before I played the acoustic gig, I'm not going to make a video for this or anything. And then I'm playing the song, and everybody's like screaming when I said Florida Free. I'm like, damn, I got to do a video for this. This is going to be awesome. So anyway, that's this coming Friday. So if you'd like to participate, I'd love to have patriots there instead of people who
I
don't.
think you got a winner, Wes. I honestly do.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's about to take off. We're all about to be famous, I think.
Well, put it on the website so we get a little
Get a
love,
play there.
little love.
A little play there. There you
DLP
go.
love. I got to get my relaxed post before we start.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in to this first look. We'll see you next time. We'll actually see you Wednesday in the driveway. For Travis and Dan, I am your Uncle Wes. We'll see you next time.
You are